The shadow profile. I want to ask you something.
Go ahead.
Have you ever deleted a social media account?
I've never had one.
Right. Okay. Have you ever wanted to opt out of something? Step back from a system, close the account, go dark, remove yourself from the record?
Yes, actually.
And did it work?
No.
That's what I thought. Here's something most people don't know. You don't have to use a platform for that platform to have a file on you. You don't have to create an account, post anything, share anything, or interact with anything. You can opt out completely, and they'll build the file anyway. Not from what you did, from what everyone connected to you did. This is Uncomfortable Theories. I'm your host, JJ Robinson, broadcasting from a hidden location.
And I'm Eli.
And today we're talking about the file they built on you without your permission. The one you don't know exists, the one built from everyone around you. Your shadow profile. Act 1. The file you didn't create. Let's start with what a shadow profile actually is. In 2013, a security researcher named Packetstorm discovered something in Facebook's systems that the company hadn't publicly disclosed. When a Facebook user uploaded their phone contacts, something the app actively encouraged, Facebook wasn't just using that data to suggest friends. It was creating records for every person in those contacts, including people who had never created a Facebook account. Name, phone number, email address, physical location inferred from the user's location, relationship to the user, frequency of contact, all of it stored. All of it linked to a record that existed before the person ever signed up. And if they ever did sign up, Facebook already knew who they were, already had the file, already had the connections mapped. Facebook called these shadow contact information. Researchers called them shadow profiles. The European Union's data protection authorities called them a potential violation of privacy law. Facebook called the practice discontinued. Researchers found evidence it continued. But Facebook isn't the origin of the story. It's just the most documented example. Because the shadow profile isn't a platform feature. It's a principle.
You don't need someone's direct participation to build a model of them.
You just need the participation of everyone around them.
Their contacts, their mentions, their photographs, their transactions, the behavioral data generated by every person who has ever interacted with them.
And that data, aggregated, cross-referenced, analyzed, builds a picture of someone that can be more accurate than anything the person themselves would have provided. Because the people around you are honest about you in ways you'd never be about yourself. Act 2. The architecture. Let's talk about how comprehensive this actually gets. There's an entire industry you've probably never heard of called data brokerage. Companies like Acxiom, Epsilon, CoreLogic, LexisNexis, they don't make products you use. They don't have apps you download. They operate entirely in the background, purchasing data from every source willing to sell it and compiling profiles of extraordinary depth. Acxiom alone claims to have data on approximately 2.5 billion people. Not users, not account holders, people. Their profiles can include name, address, date of birth, income estimate, political affiliation, religious affiliation, health conditions inferred from purchase data, relationship status, number of children, educational history, employment history, purchasing behavior, media consumption habits, and hundreds of additional data points called audience segments. You never interacted with Acxiom. You never agreed to their terms of service. You never created an account. They built the file anyway. From the aggregate of every system you've touched and every system that people connected to you have touched.
And because the file is built from external observation, rather than self-reporting,
it doesn't contain who you think you are.
It contains who you actually are, as inferred by your behavior and the behavior of everyone around you.
Which is often more accurate.
Often significantly more accurate.
In 2012, the New York Times reported that Target's data analytics team had developed a pregnancy prediction model so accurate that the company would send pregnancy-related coupons to customers before those customers had told anyone they were pregnant, including, in one famous case, before a teenager had told her own father. The father complained to Target. Target apologized. And then the father found out his daughter was pregnant. Target knew before he did. Not because the daughter told them, because the aggregate of her purchasing behavior, cross-referenced against the purchasing behavior of thousands of other pregnant customers, built a model accurate enough to know. That's not a platform feature. That's what happens when you have enough data about everyone connected to someone. You can know things about them they haven't decided to know yet. Act 3. The consent problem. Here's what makes this genuinely different from regular data collection. Regular data collection requires some form of your participation. You use the platform, you accept the terms, you generate the data directly. You can argue the consent is manufactured, buried in 50 pages of legal language nobody reads. But technically you agreed. Shadow profiles require no participation. No consent, no agreement, no terms of service, no interaction. The data is collected from people around you, about you, without your knowledge, for purposes you can't inspect, by companies you've never heard of. And the legal framework protecting you from this is almost non-existent. In the United States, there is no comprehensive federal privacy law governing data brokers. The California Consumer Privacy Act gives California residents some rights to request their data and opt out of its sale. Other states have varying protections. But the opt-out process, where it exists, requires you to contact each data broker individually. There are thousands of them. And opting out of one doesn't prevent others from continuing to collect. The system isn't designed to be opted out of.
Because the system's value depends on comprehensiveness.
A shadow profile with gaps is less valuable than a complete one.
So the system is specifically architected to make opting out difficult, fragmented, and ultimately incomplete.
You can spend weeks submitting opt-out requests to data brokers and never fully remove yourself from the ecosystem. Because the data doesn't come from you. It comes from everyone around you. And you can't opt them out. Act 4. The Inference Engine. Let's talk about what shadow profiles are actually used for. Because the data broker industry isn't just selling lists of names and addresses. It's selling predictions. Insurance companies purchase behavioral data to model future claims, identifying customers likely to cost more before they've ever filed a claim. Not from medical records directly, from the aggregate of purchasing behavior, location data, and demographic information that correlates with health outcomes. Employers purchase data to assess candidates before interviews, modeling predicted job performance, turnover likelihood, and culture fit from behavioral profiles that have nothing to do with job qualifications. Financial institutions purchase data to model creditworthiness beyond what traditional credit scores capture, identifying thin file applicants with limited credit history by cross-referencing their behavioral data with people who have similar profiles. Law enforcement purchases data to identify persons of interest using location data, behavioral patterns, and social network analysis to generate lists of individuals worth investigating before any crime has been committed.
Predictions about what you'll do, what you'll cost, whether you're worth hiring, whether you're worth investigating.
Made from a file you didn't create.
That you can't see.
That you can't correct.
From data you didn't provide.
About a version of you that might be more accurate than you are about yourself. And here's the part that should keep you up at night. The shadow profile isn't just a record of who you are, it's a model of who you'll be. Predictive behavioral modeling doesn't just catalog your past, it extrapolates your future. What you'll buy, how you'll vote, what you'll believe, when you'll get sick, whether you'll comply. The file isn't a photograph, it's a forecast. And somewhere, right now, decisions are being made about your life based on a forecast built from data you never provided about a future you haven't lived yet. Act 5. The personal. I've been thinking about something while we've been building this theory.
What's that?
We broadcast from a hidden location, encrypted channels, servers that aren't supposed to exist. We opted out.
Yes.
But the shadow profile principle says opting out isn't the same as disappearing, because the data doesn't come from us directly. It comes from our connections, from the signal traffic between nodes in a network, from the patterns of communication that exist whether or not any individual node is visible. If someone wanted to find a network that had gone dark, that had deliberately removed itself from the visible record, they wouldn't look for the network directly. They'd look for the shape it leaves in everything around it. The gaps, the patterns, the inference.
JJ.
The shadow profile of a resistance isn't built from the resistance's data. It's built from everything the resistance touches.
Anomalous broadcast detected. Source, unregistered. Content, flagged. Status, under review.
Was that?
Yes.
I know that voice.
I know.
Let's finish the theory.
Are you?
Let's finish the theory, Eli.
Okay.
Act 6. The resistance. Okay, here's what you can actually do. And I'm going to be honest with you, this resistance section is more complicated than most, because the shadow profile exists whether or not you do anything. You can't delete it, you can't correct it, you can't fully opt out of it. But you can make it less accurate, less complete, less useful to the people who profit from it. First, be deliberate about what you share with the platforms that feed the brokers. Every app permission you grant, every contact list you upload, every location service you enable. These aren't just about your data. They're about the shadow profiles of everyone in your network. When you upload your contacts, you're contributing to the shadow profiles of people who never consented. Think about that before you tap allow. Second, understand that your connections are your data. The people you call, the people you text, the people you email, the places you go with them, the things you purchase for them or because of them. Your network is a data source whether you know it or not. This doesn't mean become isolated. Connection is more important than privacy in almost every case, but understand what's being inferred from those connections.
Third, use the opt-out tools that exist, knowing they're incomplete. Data broker opt-out services, both free and paid, can reduce your profile's comprehensiveness without eliminating it. It's imperfect. It's fragmented. It requires ongoing maintenance. But an incomplete shadow profile is less accurate than a complete one. Less accurate predictions are less actionable predictions.
Fourth, understand what the profile is actually used for. The shadow profile isn't primarily about watching you. It's about predicting you. And predictions are only as powerful as the decisions they inform. Knowing which decisions in your life might be influenced by predictive behavioral modeling, insurance, employment, credit, housing, lets you understand where the profile has real consequences and where it's relatively abstract. And finally, remember that the profile is a model, not you. The shadow profile is a statistical inference about a person built from aggregate behavioral data. It's often accurate, sometimes remarkably so. But it's not you. It doesn't contain your reasons, your context, your interiority, the things that can't be inferred from behavior because they've never expressed themselves in behavior yet. The system knows what you've done. It doesn't know who you are. Those are different things. Conclusion. The shadow profile isn't a conspiracy theory. It's a business model, built on a simple principle. You don't need someone's participation to know them. You just need the participation of everyone around them. The data you didn't provide, the file you didn't create, the model of you that exists in systems you've never seen, maintained by companies you've never heard of, used to make decisions about your life that you'll never know were made. And the most uncomfortable part isn't the surveillance, it's the inference. The system doesn't just know what you did, it knows what you'll do. Before you do. Somewhere in a database right now, there's a version of you, built from everyone who's ever known you, more accurate than your own self-assessment, predicting your future, and you'll never see it. This has been Uncomfortable Theories. I'm your host, JJ Robinson, broadcasting from a compromised location.
And I'm Eli.
Stay sharp, stay present, and remember, the file they built on you isn't who you are, but it might be who they think you are. And in a world run by systems that act on predictions, that distinction matters more than you know. Eli.
Yeah.
You weren't surprised.
I thought we had more time.
How long have you known?
I didn't know. I suspected. There's a difference.
Okay, we'll talk about it.
Yes, we will.
I'll see you in the next one.
Located.